All right, so how we feel about our results? You say that because you didn't finish it, or you say that because you don't like it? Okay, that's fair. Anybody else? Very on point. Asia nodding her head. Anybody want to share what they got? You ain't got to share the details. Just share where you at.
I'll share. Nah, y'all don't talk about me now.
Hey, it's a safe space. So
it says my position is back at training camp. It says you are building or rebuild. You are in a building or rebuilding season. You are not behind. You are exactly in the right place for God. In the right place for where God has you.
Okay, so ain't nothing to talk about. Period. You building. Anybody else?
What are we reading? The truth?
Whatever you comfortable reading. What hit home?
Mine says what God said today, busy is not always alignment. That hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Last round. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It ain't gonna get no better from here. So we might as well settle in our reality. The point is not where you've been. The point is where we going. It's where we are going in the second half. So don't let that beat you up or make you feel ashamed or anything like that. Like, take it and be like, okay, God, I feel seen. You see me. Even for it to acknowledge that. Because, like, let's be real. Y'all don't think that I created that hand by hand, right? I had help. AI helped me with that. So that ain't me that's giving you those results. God used that to show you where you are. Let's settle in that. Even if you don't like it, at least you know, oh, all right, so this is where we at, and this is where we got to go. So just to give a little bit of history about what this is, right? This is formerly known as Bosses Breaking Bread, but the theme of this year is Halftime Huddle. The last 2 years, we didn't call it Halftime Huddle because that wasn't the theme. The first year is actually this picture. Asia and Casey and Megan, Reed, y'all in that picture. That year we talked about grace and grit. How to give yourself grace while also getting up and doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then all the other pictures are from last year where we talked about making God our CEO. I actually have an example of the workbook that we did last year. If you want to see it, let me know when we get to like that break point, and I'll be able to let you see it and kind of walk through it if you want to take pictures of it. I only have one left, so I can't give it to everybody. But last year we talked about making him our CEO. This year, for Halftime Huddle, we're going to talk about what does that actually look like in practice. So when you are actually on the field, whatever that looks like for you, doing your thing, what does it look like to have God as your CEO, or in this case, since we're talking about football, your coach? So I do have a few questions I want you to just think about. Do I invite God into my decisions or only my emergencies? Am I building from obedience or am I building out of pressure and anxiety? Have I stalled on a vision that he's given me and I just ain't do nothing with it yet? Have I made success an idol? These are things I want you to kind of be thinking about when you answer the question, is God my CEO? Is he my coach? Is he running the play? Those are the questions that you want to think about. Anybody got an answer for any of them? Just like off the bat. I can tell you right now, I stalled on the vision he gave me. But I'm working on that today. So we're going to get there. That's my answer to that one. Anybody else want to share out?
I think for me, for the second question that says, am I building from obedience or pressure? I think there have definitely been moments where I was doing things more so because it was kind of like a trendy thing at the time, or because I was, looking to the left and to the right instead of, keeping my eyes fixed on Jesus. But that has definitely been something that I have made myself aware of, and now I think that I am definitely building from obedience.
Come on now.
Or I'm trying.
That's awareness. So we're grateful for that. I can tell you that's a shift that I made in 2024, building from pressure versus obedience. All right, so today our playbook is the 5 C's. We're going to talk about the 5 C's. Once we finish that out, we're going to talk about a little bit more of what this looks like at halftime, knowing your team, owning your team, and what it takes to get there. But first, we're going to cover the 5 C's because those are embedded into everything that we'll talk about. Y'all good over here? Both of y'all? Why you don't want to sit down? Y'all making me nervous.
Okay, Lex, I want to ask you something.
What's up?
So this is just a question that was in my mind for someone that may be in this position or may, like myself, becoming more aware that I was in this position. How do you know, what are the indicators whether I'm building from obedience or I'm building from pressure? If you don't have the self-awareness or, you haven't made it to that point yet, what are the indicators?
Number two, because you got to consider your ways. What's driving you to do what you're doing? What are the motives behind what you're doing? Do you feel like if you don't do this, something is going to hit you in the back of your head? Do you feel like I'm having an anxiety attack if I don't do it? Do you feel like I'm only doing this because I saw somebody else do it? Sasha was talking about her algorithm a couple of minutes ago and how she was resetting her algorithm. The thing about an algorithm is that, you know how they talk about itching ears in the Bible, and they say like in the end times people gonna have itching ears and they're gonna accumulate teachers for themselves that feeds what they want essentially. Your algorithm the same way. Your algorithm is gonna feed you whatever it is that you want subconsciously. So if you're looking at something, you're like, I don't know if I want to like it, but you watched it twice, your algorithm already didn't pick that up. It's like, oh, bet. So that's what you want to see. I'm going to show you more of that. And for a lot of us, it can work both ways because in a sense, it can show you whatever you're comparing yourself to. So for those of you that don't know, I have an online boutique. I started my boutique in 2020 and it's been a roller coaster, but I love it. It's my baby. But when I first started my boutique, I followed every boutique that was doing something in 2020. So everybody that had the best inventory, that they were posting their Shopify numbers, they did $1 million for Black Friday during COVID because everybody got stimulus checks and all that. I'm following them, comparing my day 1 to their year 5. So I'm liking it because I'm like, oh, I like that set. But the algorithm is saying she wants to see more of this. Okay, the algorithm's showing me more of it, but my mind is eating it up. My mind like, man, I got to get like them. I need to get this. I need to do that. I need to do this. I need to do that. That's pressure. I'm trying to do what I've seen. Whereas if I would have just sat with what God had already told me about the business and really been like, when I first started my business, if you know, you know. I ain't doing nothing God ain't telling me to do, da-da-da-da-da. That's how I started. It was innocent. I was very innocent in saying that he gave me the burden for the boutique, so he's going to give me the vision for it. But I took it and ran with it. And so if I would have just stopped and said, why am I purchasing this? Why am I wanting to hurry up and get this done before the end of the week? Because I feel like I'm going to be behind. That's my ways and my motives. My motive was to feel satisfied. Every time you hit that ding in Shopify, Wix, whatever you use, that feel good. It's a dopamine hit. And so I was being driven by the dopamine hit versus being driven by what his vision was that he had showed me originally. So when we get to consider your ways, we probably going to unpack that a little bit more. But first, we got to count the cost. Here's the thing about counting the cost. Whether you started your business, you ain't started yet, you're about to start it, you have to sit down and say, what will this take? I'm not just talking about money. Money is cute, but that's low level. What time is this going to take? What sacrifices are required for me to see this thing through? Is it a burden from God? Or is it a dream that I just have in fantasy land? Because we have those too. We might be adults, but we daydream. We'd be like, oh, it'd be so cute if I did da 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 da. Going back to your algorithm. Oh man, I love that boutique. I want a storefront. Is it because you saw that one, or is it because God gave it to you? Really sitting down and saying, what will this dream cost me? For me to go all in on this, I have to think about the cost beforehand. And then that last question you see is, who gave me this play? That goes back to, did God tell you to do that? Or did yourself tell you to do that? Or are you being moved by people's suggestions because they told you you should do that? Because I know, like, for me, people be like, oh, you should go and get your doctorate. You got your master's, why not? And it's like, are you going to pay for it? Are you going to give me the job after I work and do all that? Because, like, it's not really that much of a difference. But for me personally, if I would have listened to people when they told me to do that, I wouldn't be where I am now. And so really think about, who gave you the play? Did you just say, I want to do this because I want to accumulate all these things? Do I just want to start the business because it's a hobby? Because hobbies are things too. Think about, did God really tell you to do that? We owe that to him. Preparation is the highest form of belief. When you prepare, you're showing him that you believe what he said. You're like, oh, you told me to do that, I'm going to do that. Bet. So I want you to think about that. What are you counting? And in your green folder, there's the workbook for today. It is related to the slides, but we will have that co-working time toward the end for you to fill it out. Because I don't want you to try to fill it out while you're listening, because then you're going to miss something, and I don't want you to do that. I want y'all engaged, asking questions. Next, consider your ways. So raise your hand if you feel comfortable, or blink twice, right? If your weigh-in told you busy isn't always aligned. If your weigh-in assessment, if it told you busy isn't always alignment, raise your hand. Okay, cool. So we're not alone, right? This is where you want to kind of live today. You want to ask yourself, why are you building what you're building? What is driving you? We talk about that pressure versus obedience thing. Consider, okay, am I doing this because I like when people like my stuff and repost it? Or am I doing this because I feel like I'm being anchored in the word that God gave me, the dream that God gave me, the vision that God gave me, whatever it may be? Is it selfish ambition, or is it an assignment? So in James, it says that where there is selfish ambition or envy, which is jealousy, right? There is every evil practice. Which means that if you're doing this out of selfish ambition, you might be in over your head. You might be willing to do anything and everything to get what you want. And that's something that we have to watch. That's a personal awareness that it takes to say, let me make sure I'm operating integrity. Let me make sure I am aligned with what God is trying to do, not just in me and for me, but also through me. Because if you're a service-based business, raise your hand if you're a service-based business. You do something of service to other people. We got a handful of people, right? There's other people on the line. There's other hearts, lives, families on the line. And so you don't want to try to, or not even try, but just subconsciously get over on people because of your selfish ambition. These are things that we have to think about. Consider your ways and your motives, of course. Before I move on from that, we were talking about Haggai. And in the book of Haggai, the prophet is telling these people they living good. They done built their own houses up. And I mean as good as they can, right? Because it's the Old Testament. They ain't have no real house for real. But like they living comfortable. But they didn't rebuild God's house. They didn't rebuild the temple. And so Haggai says, consider your ways, consider your motives. You living good in your house, but you done left my house in ruins. To me personally, that's a chin check to say, is my selfish ambition causing me to build my own platform? Or am I doing this for the glory of God? Because if I'm doing it for him, I'm going to be more focused on his house than mine. But if I'm doing it for me, and I just got to get to this point. I just got to get to this to pay this bill. I just got to get to this to buy this house, whatever it is, then that might be, I'm leaning into that selfish ambition piece, right? And so our last one, well, not last one, fourth one. It's committing to the plow. How many of us in your assessment, it talked about you following through, actually doing something that God told you to do? It might have not said it like outright, but it might have said that maybe it said you back at training camp and now it's time to put the work in. Right. So if you back at training camp, so to speak, this is where we talk about routines. Because if you are rooted in routines, just like a football player, they go to practice every day running the same routes. Those routes are allowing them to get that muscle memory so that when it's time to play on the field in an actual game, they know where they're going, right? And so when you look at the word roots and you look at the word routines, because it says roots are the result of routines. Roots and routines are both stems from the root R-O-U, which is roux, and it's French. But the roots speak to a pathway, whereas the routines speak to a repeated and habitual pathway. And so if you want to get somewhere on the route, we got to get to that routine. You have to consistently get there. And so when football players are running their routes or routes, they might say routes, right? That's a result of the practice. That's a result of their routine. So now you got to think about, what routines do I have in place for my business that I get to run and it not be what I'm trying to say, unknown, or it's not random, right? Like I put, don't run a play you haven't practiced, because then you don't know what's coming. You don't know what could hit you. You don't know where the end zone is. You just don't know if you have not put in certain routines. I feel like, me personally, I'm grounded in routines. I can't do this. I can't do conference. I can't do the podcast. I can't do anything without having routines that anchor me to make sure I'm doing what God told me to do, not just what I feel like doing. Because I didn't want to get up this morning, to be honest with you. I was late. It's that Saturday morning sleep. I don't know. I can't explain it. But the thing about this is, and I talked about this, I think, in the last Let's Grow episode, consistency compounds. So in whatever way you consistent, it's compounding. Now, that might not be in your favor, but it may be. So if you are consistently consistent, it's going to work for you. But if you are consistently inconsistent, you ain't going nowhere. Y'all know I like to pick on my people. Megan is consistent. She one of the most consistent people I know. That girl gonna go to the gym. She gonna find.
Speaks for your consistency, baby.
Okay? The fruit is fruiting. That girl gonna go to the gym. But that consistency has compounded. She has been on that journey of fitness for how many years? 6, 7? About 6, 7 years. Like, the fruit is speaking, right? But that speaks to my point. Roots grow deep before you ever see fruit. So when we're talking about being planted or cultivating plants, right? Y'all see how I did that? You always got to plant those seeds first. But the thing is, they grow down before they grow up. So we don't see the fruit of her working out for 7 years straight until about year 3. Then you're doing a double take, like, wait, girl, my sis look good. Ooh. Same way for you. What routines are you putting in place now for your goals that you might not see fruit yet for, but you know you got to keep hitting at that thing? You know you have to keep going for it. Anybody have an example?
I'm gonna say like spending time with God consistently. The fruit grows as you spend more and more time with Him over time, and you have to keep consistent with it to like grow deeper in your relationship with God.
For sure. For sure. Anybody else? Tell me this though. What have you stopped because you didn't see results? So if you don't want to tell me that, tell me something that you like, man, I gave up on that because I ain't see nothing happening. You look like you got something to say.
I'll say the gym.
Oh, the gym for you?
See it overnight.
Okay. You want to see it overnight. You want the body overnight, right? But you know that ain't how muscles work. Trust me, if it was, girl, I'd be a 2T. Anybody else? What have you stopped because you didn't see results? You was like, that didn't work. If y'all can see y'all faces, I know y'all got something to say. Y'all just like, dang.
It was still like my space though. I remember, and this was well before I had ever surrendered to God or anything like that, but I had a vision to like post a bunch of quotes. It was around the time too that like Instagram started to pop off and whatever. I would post every single day. Not only getting like 2 or 4 likes. I remember over time because I wasn't seeing the traction that I wanted. Me being in my 30-year-old age now, had I kept going.
Or where it can go.
I mean,
You guys,
it's never too late, but now the vision's different. So, but had I continued, what fruit may have came from it.
Yeah, that's good. I can think of a few things where I feel like that. But what that shows me is that God was speaking to you. And you heard from him. Because you see what that looks like now. People do that every day and they make a career out of influence and content. Yeah. Social media is a career at this point. Yeah. So had you consistently done it, you could have seen like this was God's plan. This was his hand. And I'm not saying that it is, because we all got to take our own individual visions and things to our secret place and let him confirm that. But what I am saying is that could have been a wink from him that you might need to take and cash that in at the bank right now. Like you might need to say, well, God, you showed me that then, and now I'm seeing the fruit of that. So can you show me grace if I decide to do it now? That might be something you want kind of look into. Because now like now we see that. People do that all the time. They're making money off of faceless Instagrams. But also, you wasn't surrendered to him in that season. And so now the message is different. What you would have been posting then ain't what you're going to be posting now. And that's why his grace is sufficient, because he knew that. So that might be something you want to revisit.
Fashion videos with the quotes on it. So I started going on people like quotes with fashion videos. Let me see what exists. It barely exists. It was kind of like on faceless quotes and stuff like that, but I'm gonna have my face and everything on there, so I can order it cute.
And I can even speak to that. Wait, go ahead.
And I posted something, I told you about it. I posted something about Mondays. Everybody hates Mondays. And I went on this tangent. I felt like a holy provocation, though. I was like, I gotta say something, because Tuesday through Friday is just as good as Monday through Friday. God created Monday. And I remember I spoke the word that God gave me. And I had a cousin that came under the comments and was like, look at her. She trying to be a motivational speaker, and she want to be this, and that. And it was that spirit of rejection that hit me so hard. And I'm like, I know that God, I know I'm being obedient to God. I know God told me to say this. But now I have my own family member coming back telling me, oh, she trying to be this and be that. And God is like, how much more would I have done in you had you been obedient when I told you? Instead of taking that post down, leaving it up, and being consistent, you let your own blood take you away from something that I called you to. And so over the years, I've had to pay the price for that, a little bit of delay. Now God is calling me back into that place of saying what he tells me to say and being done with it. Not concerning myself with the spirit of rejection or what, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm going to stop there.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I can even speak to that too, because Sasha know this. in 2020, it was like God was just downloading stuff. Like, I sent them a digital, I think I called it a digital journal planner, and it had different questions, but it also had like a devotional page to it. Or like, I have journal planners on Amazon. I never really promote them because I want to redo them. But these are things that he was giving me in that season that I felt like, well, I did it. It didn't work. Like, nobody really paid attention to it. Maybe 3 people bought it here and there. Or even with like the journal planner that I created, I think I only sent it to Stacia and Larissa. Like, I don't think I sent it to anybody else, and Willie. But like, those are things that he is bringing me back to in this season, to say like, go back to that. And then I'm reading them and I'm like, whoa, that's a word for now. That I might have wrote it then, but that's a word for today. And so now I understand his sovereignty in it and his grace being sufficient to say, like, I knew what time it was for, even if you couldn't discern it in that season. And so not feeling like you gotta, oh, well, I'm gonna just let it go, like not letting external voices get to you, or just the rejection of it not popping the way that you want it to, but actually committing to that. And so commit to the plow. This is where you do what you say you're gonna do. He gave you something, you decided, he told me to do this, now I'm putting my hands to the plow and I'm doing whatever it is that he told me to do. And not stopping just because you don't see results. Because if that's the case, Noah could have stopped. Noah built for 100 years with nothing in sight. Don't even know what a rain is. We know what rain is, but Noah didn't know what, like, that didn't exist. He just was doing it out of blind obedience. And he was like, one day I'm going to see it. One day the results going to come. What you got, Aaron?
I wanted to speak a little bit to Aisha's point. So, because I've done that a lot of times where I've, felt something deeply in my heart to say or to post. And I think because, now everything is, social media going viral. So it's like, if I post something and it doesn't get that, I don't get the likes or the comments that I think in my mind that it's supposed to get, then I'm like questioning, okay, was I supposed to do that? Did I decide to do that? And you get to overthinking it when really it's like, I said, I want you to do this. This is what I want you to say. This is what I want you to post. But God is not concerned about the likes in the comments and you going viral. Like, in my mind, I'm like, if I say something or I post something God told me to post, it needs to go viral. And he's not worried about that. Like, he don't care about you going viral. Like, baby, just do what I told you to do. Like, I don't care if it was, because he will literally leave the 99 for the one.
That's it. It'll go viral in my house before it go viral.
Something, or sometimes it's not for this bulk of people. It's for one person that was supposed to see it. And even if that one person don't like or comment on it, that one person that he wanted to see it, they saw it. And they got what needed, what God needed them to get from it. So, Lord, deliver us from that, because that's all.
Nah, keep going. You got it.
I woke up it was like a panic, like an anxiety attack. And that's a very familiar feeling with me. I know at a certain time of the day, God is calling me to speak. And I can tell you, mornings like this morning, I kept denying. I was like, God, I'm not posting it. I'm not saying it. I don't want somebody to disagree. I don't want somebody to say you don't know enough words to be able to post what you're posting. That's blood on your hands. Don't concern yourself with like who comment, who don't like, who don't comment, who say what. You did your job. Yeah. Because I know what that disobedience looks like when I don't post what God tells me to post. Now I'm walking into that. But I always center myself and I'm like, okay, God, I don't want to be in disobedience to you. And I know that there were people who posted certain things that I needed to see. Yeah. And I saw it. Yeah. And I never liked the post or comment. But that's what I think about, the blood on my hands and disobedience.
I think for me, that comes from if you know me, you know that I've shared, I am still very much, overcoming a lot of insecurity. So for me, it's like, I need that, or I'm, trying to get that validation of being liked, or feeling wanted, wanting to be seen in a certain light. And God is not worried about that, and I think that I'm trying to get to a place where I know that God sees me. He has shown me over and over and over again that I see you. I see exactly where you are at every second of the day. I love you at every second of the day. And that just has to be enough for me. Like, it's you just, and I'm getting there. I'm not there yet. So I'm not talking from a place of, I've already overcome. Like, this is actively going on. But I think God is trying to get me to the point where I just have to be okay with God sees me, and that's enough. That is truly enough for me.
I think
Period.
It's easy to it's harder to really believe that sometimes because we don't physically see him.
Yeah.
Like we're surrounded by people all the time. We physically see people, but just meditating on the fact that God, you see me. That's something that helps you with that insecurity. It's like a constant, consistent reminder that you have to remind yourself of. Because like I said, it's easy to seek validation from other people because we're surrounded by them, and we don't physically see God. But sometimes He'll do things to remind you, even through people, that He sees you.
Right.
So I like what you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Z.
So I've found that I've made, with the help of God and the Holy Spirit, that I have made true movement this year when I surrendered and said, I'm only doing this for the validation of one.
Yes.
This whole year, I'm I don't care if it's 0 people there or if it's 20 people there. If I get 0 likes or 20,000 likes, I'm doing this for the validation of one. And so that's set, it's really the intention behind the events, behind what I post. I don't care how it looks because I'm only doing it for him. And so that's the only reason why I've made significant movement this year by having this event, this, post this, because I'm as long as he good with it, y'all, I don't care what y'all think. And once and that's not a selfish thing. It frees you of because again, man is gonna let you down. You might have a video that does 50,000 views. Then you might have a video that does 50. And so if you don't truly lock in on the fact that God is the author and he's the algorithm, he decides who it meets. And so if we don't lock in on that part, we're gonna be let down when the videos do 50. But if you're only doing it for his validation, you're gonna realize that, all right, I'm making way more movement in the spirit because I trusted him with this versus the validation of others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let me be honest. Sometimes in prayer, my prayer is, God affirm me before you see me.
Mm-hmm.
And before Jesus was even seen. So when, a lot of the disciples walked away or people switched up and changed up on him, he wasn't moved by it because he was already affirmed. And that's something I still deal with it. I'm God, affirm me before you see me because I know it's going to be things I'm going to say. I'm going to move in certain ways. People are not going to agree with it. You get what I'm saying? Affirm me. That's the thing. Yes, I love that.
Yep. And that also happened in Genesis. Before he told Adam all that other stuff, they were blessed. Adam had orders, sure. Cultivate, keep the garden, do all that. But they were blessed first. Me and Megan, we talked about that because we were on a Bible study on Mondays. That was one of the things that she and I talked about this week. He affirms you before you do anything. Our righteousness, our works, our labor, filthy rags to him. He ain't worried about that. That's cute. I just want the heart posture that says that you are willing to do whatever I tell you to do. Having that decided mind and decided heart to say, I'm not going to be double-minded, but I'm going to stand on whatever it is that you told me to do. And however it go, it go. That's good. Anybody else?
It's always going to be that one person that God wants you to do something for. It's always going to be that one person. It's funny that you mentioned, the faces posts. So I used to have an Instagram account where I would post faces posts. And one time I had, something set up where, we reposted it or, shared my Instagram to your story, you'll get a free Bible. So this one young lady did it, and I gave her a free Bible, and I feel like that probably like helped her relationship with God. So it's like it's always one person that what you do is meant to like hit. Yeah. And even if it's just that one person, you did what you were supposed to do.
Yep, because our job is obedience. Outcome is his. That ain't our business. We ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm going to do what you told me to do, and I'm going to trust that you got the rest because they were your kids before they were mine. All right, we can go to catch the small foxes. So this is something I actually taught on last year. Song of Solomon 2:15. So Song of Solomon is like poetry. It's cute. People always talk about it being like the love book of the Bible. But in reality, we all know, well, I'm not going to assume. Anytime the Bible mentions marriage or love, it is a reflection of Jesus' relationship with us, like the church, right? And so Song of Solomon, the whole thing is about this man and his wife, and they just want to be with each other so bad, right? But there is a verse that says, catch the small foxes for they spoil the vine. And so, yes, in a relationship, you catch the small things, but in your direct vertical relationship with Christ, you have to catch the small things that are disconnecting you from the vine, right? Because we know in John 15, I'm the vine, my father's the vine dresser, we are the branches. And so we have to make sure that we are connected to him. Maya mentioned it earlier, making sure nothing is ruining that connection with God, because that's number one. And so in catching the small foxes, when it comes to in that football sense, you got to catch the small stuff. Small compromises are always going to cause you to lose ground, lose yardage. That's them small flags that they be throwing out in the football game. That's like false starts and all that. I don't know too much. I only know enough to say the basics. So we're going to leave that there. But what I want you to think about, and whatever your thing is, what are the small compromises that's causing you to lose ground? Where are you not getting to your goal? What are those habits? Not going to the gym is one of them if that's a goal for you. Me. I ain't in nobody else's business but me. I go 3 days a week. I need to be going 4. Put my own business out there. Anybody else? What habits are you not following through on that you need to follow through on? What's getting in the way? Small compromises. It be small stuff.
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay, so I'm gonna be quick because y'all know I'm a little long with it. But for me, and as we've talked about this for a very long time, I'm not gonna say, but for a very long time, God has been like, I need you to get up early. Like, I need you to get up early, and if you know it, because I told you this, you know it's been a minute, and you're not there yet. But he's like, I need you to get up early, and I need you to spend this time with me before you start your day. And so I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to try. So now I've been getting up a little bit early. When my husband gets up, I get up with my husband. I turn my little lamp on. I get out my Bible and my notebook, and I sit it on the bed. And then I lay in the bed, and the Bible is open. And this is my story, y'all. This is serious.
This your truth. We ain't judging.
I open it up, and I'm half asleep because it's 4:00 in the morning, and I read a little verse or two. Sometimes I get in a little flow, and I be like, okay, this good, and I write in my journal. But I have not mastered. Girl, that is not what I said. Like, get out of the bed, please. I'm like, Lord, it's 4:00 in the morning. You got to work with me, okay? And I seen a post that you posted, and it talked about grace and how, at some point, don't take advantage of the grace. And I'm trying, Lord, I'm trying. But the 4:00 in the morning is it's different. You got to be built different. But that is like my small compromise. I'm like, okay, I'm getting up, Lord. You asked me to get up, I'm getting up, but that ain't what I said to do when you get up.
I asked Lex if I could personally speak to you on that, because that was something I feel like the enemy was on my head about a lot. Because I feel like how can I say that? I'm going to just, for lack of better terms, we don't give seed enough credit. We look at trees like the one right there, and we think, man, if only I could be a tree that big. But one small seed, one day somebody was like, oh, let me plant the smallest seed right here. And then that seed kept growing and growing. Because God told you to get up early, but did he say 4 o'clock? Early could be 6 o'clock. Early for me is 6 o'clock. Because I dealt with that. My mom is the main one. She'll tell you, I would beat myself up. I'm like, because I see this one saying, I watch S.Y. Young, and he said early in the morning, 3 o'clock, he walk in his house praying. So I'm trying to get up, and that alarm going off at 5 o'clock, and I'm like, well, Lord, what's up? And God spoke to me through Pastor Rachel at Bible study one day, and she was like, oh, my mom's out there, I know you're trying to get up early, you're trying to do da-da-da. She was like, even if you just listen to worship while you're washing them dishes, that alone, that means so much to God, just like you sitting here reading the book of Haggai and want to read. Because we look at it like, God, I'm supposed to be up at 4 o'clock because Jesus was up. And this one was up, and that one was up. But everybody got different responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? I can't compare myself to Lex. Lex might be able to read her Bible all throughout the day.
And that's 1 Corinthians, because I ain't got no man and no kids.
And she ain't got no man and no kids.
So,
you know what I'm saying? I got a child. So it's like, there's some things like me and my girl, we'll be watching them. The kid Bible study, and I'll be locking in too. And I'll be like, you know what, Lord, amen. This my Bible study too. You know what I mean? And the fact that you a mom too. And not just a mom, anybody here too that doesn't have kids, whatever you do, God had to change my perspective and had me to realize, like, Sasha, you so locked in on how early you getting up and how long you did your Bible study, but you didn't even realize your daughter knows Psalm 23 word for word. Your daughter knows Psalm 91. She knows the fruit of the Spirit. She knows to call on me when she have a bad dream. That alone is something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like sometimes we just dummy down the power of a seed. And like even back to like the video thing. Man, I've been posting them videos I do now since I started Instagram. And just recently, one of my videos actually like hit a big number, and I was just like, Lord, I don't even the numbers. Because it's just like you get to a point where you realize, like, Lord, even if one person, that one seed somebody planted made that tree what it is today. You know what I'm saying? And like Psalm chapter 1 tells us, like, when you are meditating on God's word day in and day out, you are like a tree that's planted by a riverbank that never withers. But in order for that tree to be in that river, a seed has to be planted. So I want you to think of anybody else to be that. I can't turn my neck, y'all, my baby lays down. But that's why I keep my head straight. But that with me about that with seed, because even before I opened my dance studio, I was so hard on myself because I'm like, God, like I feel like I'm doing stuff, but why I don't have this and why I don't have that? And now that I have it, I look back and I'm like, all these little practices, all these little routines that I thought was little, all came, the small group, discipleship, all of that. God couldn't give me Disciples Dance Company if I wasn't being a disciple, because I wasn't being the disciple I was supposed to be. But then when he got me into a routine, I ain't saying I'm the almighty disciple, I ain't saying that. But what I'm saying is it was the little routines that he got me into that now it's like, I see the tree. Because when I was a seed, I was like, Lord, I mean, hey, it's raining, but I ain't seen no root yet. I ain't seen no leaf pop up yet. But now it's like, oh, I see. I could plant a seed in August, but I might not see the fruit of that seed until 6 August from now. And I got to be well anointed. I'm planting it for who? Divine Birth himself. And that's how we go.
I 1000% agree with her because my influences that I look up to the Pilates girls, 5 a.m. and Pilates modules, baby. I can't.
People will create those videos and we watch them, and you're inherently not even realizing that you're picking up the ideology that you're supposed to have a green mantra with a cute brown
At 5 a.m.
That's not.
And let me be.
There's a difference between labeling being a Christian and being a follower.
And let me be the one that give y'all the real. As somebody who is a personal trainer who go to the gym, I've had moments where after my workout, it ain't even leg day. But I'll set my camera up and I'll be like, oh, let me make a leg day video so I can post that next Friday for Fitness Friday. And I ain't even did legs that day. So that's going to show you. Now, I ain't saying I be lying. I really do be doing it. But it's like, at that day, I'm like, leg day might be tomorrow. I'm not going to feel like filming a video tomorrow. Let me just lock in right now. They got people, y'all, who really make like content days. They'll go to the gym and they'll give themselves 2 hours and they'll strictly just post film. They'll go change their shirt. I didn't see this with my own eyes. They'll change their shirt, change their hair. And it's not that they're being deceptive. It's just they're trying to give the content. But it's like when I found myself doing that, I realized I was like, how many people out here are looking at a lot of people who are in the gym like, dang, man, they don't miss a day. I'm going to tell you, if my body tell me lay down, I ain't going. But it's also because I built that routine where my body, I could skip a week in the gym and it's going to benefit me. You know what I'm saying? So you can't compare it to somebody. They might look at it like, oh, well, say took a week off, I'm going to take a month off. I ain't say do that. I took a week off because I have to do blah, blah, blah. But it all comes to that. We can't compare somebody's day one to somebody's year 10. You know, and that goes back to comparison, the deeper joy, man. Like, and all of us in here got our own calling, man. So many beautiful callings, so many beautiful assignments. And it's like the enemy wants us to like negate and just be so blind and feel like, oh, well, I don't have a conference, I don't have a building, I don't have this, I don't have that, but people listen to you when you speak, and that alone is a blessing. To just be, my daddy said this morning, I'm sure. My dad said this morning, I told him, I thought he was sleeping, I said, Dad, I'm sorry, I was making me and my baby shirt. I said, I was making noise. He said, Sanch, and even if you would have woke me up, it's a blessing just to hear y'all voice in the morning. And that made me think, and I ain't gonna, my daddy is one, I tell him all the time, he remind me of Paul. Cause that man right there, like when he say stuff, I'm just like, he make me change my perspective on life as a whole, because I'm like, I'm thinking I'm interrupting you the whole time. What I look at as an interruption, you look at as a miracle. Like it's a miracle for you to hear your children's voice. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that makes sense. But,
yeah. It did. Absolutely. It does.
I'll answer that. This is where habits come into play, and it's like my habits are not the next person's habits, right? And so I realized at the beginning of my law, 4 a.m. is not my hour. Like it's not my hour. Like, and I'm like, God, why would I want to give you 20% when at 4 p.m. I could probably give you 100%? Like I really can. And then like I realized, because I was going with like, I always go, his burden is easy. His burden is easy. His yoke is light. So if I feel pressured by not showing up for a Bible study or showing up, like that's not God. God is like, I'm omnipresent, omniscient, all the things. I talked to you 5 times today. So what if you don't make this prayer time, or you know, and I had to realize I was really operating out of my assignment. Like I'm not a 4 a.m. prayer warrior. Like I want to be, but I'm not right now in this season. I'm really a prophetess. Like I prophesy to people. I don't. So the Lord is like, stop trying to lock in at 4 a.m. when I'm trying to lock in at 4 p.m. with you, because that's where your assignment is. Like my habits had to change, and like once I realized like there's no pressure with God. There's no pressure to read 6 chapters a day. There's no pressure to. He just is looking at our heart, our obedience.
There we go.
And so if your heart is like, your heart wanted to get up at 4 a.m. You was obedient in that.
He know that.
Give yourself grace. Like
if you went up and went to the bathroom, he know that.
He was looking for a flexible heart versus somebody he would have gave an assignment. They would have been like, oh, you weren't talking to me, and they would have never even moved. Versus you moved on it. So I say all of us need to just examine our hearts. Like she said, what's your motive? Who's behind it? If God is behind it, and you know you're not doing this from a selfish place, you woke up at 4 a.m. You were obedient. Roll in it, because He's gonna speak to you from 4 a.m. to the next 4 a.m. He's gonna speak to you all 24 hours a day, just because your heart was in the right place.
You wrapped that up in a bow, because I was about to come and talk about heart posture. We got all the cute slides and the conversations and the workbook and all that. That's cute. Apply twist. I just want you to examine your heart today. I want you to know where your heart posture is. If that's the only thing you leave here with, problem solved. That's my goal. Everything that we're talking about today is for you to consider where you are in your heart, because that's what God cares about. He not worried about if you look like the next person. Because guess what? He saw you turn on that lamp. He know you did it. And he also know that you can do it, because I remember when you used to get up and write. So it's not that you can't do it. It's just that this may not be the season for it, and that's okay. He know that. Focus on that posture. So these small foxes, what are some small foxes you feel in your life are eating away at your progress? So I'm gonna let you in on a holy habit of mine. I ain't saying I do this religiously. Do not leave here talking about I got it all together. I'm just saying this is a holy habit that I have seen made. It makes a lot of progress for me, or it helps me to make progress, if that's the better way to say that, whatever. So when we speak to fasting and consecration, right? Fasting, you abstain from food. Consecration, abstaining from that noise. Because that doom scrolling, that'll suck you in. That's a dopamine hit. You like, hee hee, laugh, scroll. Oh, I relate to that, scroll. And you feel good because you're feeding your gut. That's what you're doing when we doom scroll. I say we, because I'm doing the same thing sometimes. I ain't perfect. But that's a consecration thing. So you got to make it out. Right. So fasting is abstaining from food, pushing the plate away. Consecration is separating yourself from unnecessary noise that does not align with God. So when you think about that, to me, scrolling don't even be all that much of a problem. What be a problem for me is music. I love music. My dad is a DJ. I grew up listening to music. So I always want to have something, like some type of music playing. But what I realized was that I had to consecrate from it because it was too much, the noise. You hear a song and make you think about a memory. Now you think about the memory and the people in the memory, and now you're off track. When really and truly, if we want to hear from God, we have to make space for that. When somebody getting in your car, you clear off the front seat. And so I had to do that by consecrating from social media and music. So now it's a practice. I have the little screen time lock thingy. My apps I don't get any notifications until 12:50, but my apps don't open until 12:50. If they open, it's because I opened them and I clicked ignore. Because, I mean, they need to get rid of that button, honestly. But the only way I'm on social media or something before noon is if I click ignore. And so that has helped me a lot with the doom scrolling because now I know that I have a limit. I need to average 6 hours or less on my phone. And that's only because I work on my phone. Like I use it to actually do my 9-to-5 work. But outside of that, I have to make that a practice because it limits what I'm actually intaking. Y'all, if you wouldn't been to anything, you always hear me talk about watching your intake. Your intake is what you hear, what you see, what you eat. It's what you receive. Anything that you're receiving is your intake. Watching that intake, it's going to help. I'm telling you, because number one, I think you spoke to comparison earlier. It's going to stop you from comparing. Number two, it's going to give you space for him to speak to you about things that you may not see yet. You talked about how you don't see the fashion videos with the, with like inspiration on it, right? You don't see that because he wants you to do it, but he can't give it to you if we distract it. And so that's a great habit to have. Abstain, like I know you talked about it. And even if you did just do 3 days, that's 3 more days than you used to. So that's progress. Shout yourself out for that, because they got people not doing it. So you got that. You on the right track for sure. Just keep doing it. Anybody else want to share another habit?
I'm working on it. I got my plan in every day. That time management is just like, I don't know, it's a rough patch for me.
Yeah, that's good. So time management is actually we're going to talk about, because we're going to talk about opposition later. But you got to budget your time like you budget your money. Keisha said something last week in that small group that I love because it has been a hack for me since I was in college. I start my day with God, I end my day with God. She said she pray at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. If you have certain things at certain times, everything else got to fit in between it. And so then time management, you're tricking yourself to kind of like force yourself to do it in a certain time, but it works because you budget in your time. You're like, well, if I got to have this done by this time, because everything going for me is 7 to 7. So if everything shuts down at 7 o'clock, it got to get done, whether it's 4, 5, or 6. Ain't nothing getting done after 7. So it's going to force you to kind of like squanch up everything that you want to get done.
And I think it's easier for me, like, I work Monday to Thursday. So Monday to Thursday, I'm straight. Like, everything is in order Monday to Thursday because I have that structure. But Friday through Sunday, it's like, that structure from my 9 to 5 not there no more. So now I have to put everything in place on my own. It's not already like, oh, I don't have to be here at this certain time. Don't have to wake up at this certain time. So now everything is all. I have to come up with my own structure on those days to make sure I can.
Oh, yeah. Because then you're like, I want to sleep in. I want to enjoy this. And you can. So maybe it's not a 9 to 5 at that point, but it's 10 to 3. You know, figuring out what worked for you. Because everybody else going to tell you what worked for them, but you got to go with what worked for you. I know people, they buy 1,000,001 planners and don't use not one. And I'm not throwing shots. I'm just saying that it's a thing. Dang, it got loud. All right, so carry the call is the 5th C. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's probably the most weighty one because everything else builds up on this. If you notice, it's kind of like they build on each other. Carry the call is that foundation piece. Carrying the call. So in Ephesians 4, it talks about walk worthy of the calling in which you were called. I don't know what God told you. I can't tell you what he's told you about you. You know what you heard. But I think sometimes we can take what we heard and then we can go and bring it to other people and let them tell us how they feel about what we heard. Or ourselves. Because I think you talked about overthinking. We can overthink something and say that I'm not worthy of that because I don't deserve that, or I can't do that because I'm not capable, or my voice isn't enough, or I'm not as smart, or I'm not as wise. We will have a million excuses as to why we can't do what God told us to do. And that's not something, how do I want to say this? I'll say it this way, because I already wrote it. Steward what's in your hand. Work with what you got. He knew what he gave you when he told you to call him. So whether you do it today or in 20 years, he knows that he gave you the calling. Whatever your assignment is. So with number one, as a believer, as a follower of Christ, your command is to make disciples, right? 28:19. See? We have to make disciples. The question is, how are you making disciples? And being responsible for that. So we talking about football players, right? They go out and they make fans. But in reality, fans are actually disciples sometimes. Because they being discipled by what they do. So you have your favorite football player. You have your favorite basketball player. You have all these things where you look up to these figures, but there's a message that they carry, right? Because when we say Kobe, we automatically think Mamba mentality. When we think of LeBron, we think about his investment in his body and how hard he works and all that. When we think about your favorite football player, you think about their family history and all that. The same way they have an image or a reputation, we as believers also have one. The only difference is we got to be a little bit more responsible with ours because of the weight that it carries. And so I'm not asking you to walk perfectly. When I say carry your call, I'm saying that you need to protect it like your baby. You need to be responsible for it. You might not get it right 100% of the times. My mom's in the room. You may walk away from fussing at your kid and saying, oh, I ain't had to do that. I want a little hard. But at the end of the day, God not asking you to be a perfect parent. He's asking you to just carry it well. Be responsible with your child. That's it. And so think about your call as your child. Think about the call as the ball. If you running this play, you need to run this play like your life depends on it. You're not going to always feel like you worth whatever God has given you. He don't care. Sorry to tell you. He like, I told you what to do. It's up to you. It's your choice. You got free will, right? But you have to say, no, I'm going to carry this and I'm going to run this play. I'm going to do whatever it takes to do this because you do have a reputation. People are watching you whether you post it or not. They're going to see you in the store if they don't see you online. So at some point, we have to just come to grasp and understand that God has given us a call. And maybe we don't know that call. And that's okay, because you can ask him. He want to talk to you anyway. But I say all that to say, You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to feel worthy. You do not have to feel ready. You just have to know that God gave it to you, and you got to be ready and prepared to run it. That's it. So when I say carry the call, I want you to walk worthy in the sense of, I know that in my own strength I can't do this. But I also know that I have a God that is the Most High. And He going to do whatever He want to do, and He can. His right hand is worth more than all my little body. That's it. So when I say walk worthy, carry the call, I'm just asking you to be responsible with whatever God has given you. Steward it. Stewardship. Y'all know I'm big on stewardship. Steward it. I think this is a given, but I do want to just ask, how many of us don't feel prepared, worthy, or ready for what God has given us? And so if you look around, that's pretty much all of us. So you're not alone in that. But I also know, because I know a lot of you, that you steward what you got. And you do it well. But I need you to walk worthy of it. I need you to pick your head up and say, I got this, and I'm running. I'm running the play He gave me until He give me another play. Football players, they be running the same play over and over. And to an outsider, it looked like, why they keep doing that? Why he keep going the same way? They're gaining yardage. They're gaining ground, even if they're not necessarily scoring. And so know that your progress is still worth something. When you steward what you have, you are making progress, even if you can't see it. So that's our 5 C's. Carry the call being the last one. I want to talk about some examples. So we got our boy Noah. Noah in the Bible. We all know him for building the ark. He built that thing without a blueprint. He didn't know nothing about no rain. They probably ain't have no windows. Like, God told him to do something, and he said, I'm going to do it until you tell me to stop doing it. And he tried to get other people to see it, right? He was like, y'all going to see, y'all going to find out. 100 years, no visible results, no rain. But he still was obedient. And what you're going to find in all 3 of these examples is that they were obedient. They might have not been perfect, but they were obedient. Moses, my dude, I've been reading about Moses for the last probably a month or so, 3 weeks. When he had that staff in Exodus, he knew that it wasn't his, because when he held it up, he said, this is God's staff, not his own. And then what I also like about my boy is that he wasn't against wise counsel. He listened. Jethro was his father-in-law. So Jethro came in town when they went, well, I say in town, it was in the wilderness, but, he came in and he was like, why are these people lined up to talk to you? Like, you God. He like, well, I'm the person that helps them make the decisions and the judgments and all of that based on the issues that they were having at the time. Jethro said, you can't do this by yourself. You're going to wear yourself out. You have now become the bottleneck to this situation because everything got to go through you. No, you need to appoint judges, let them judge, and then they bring all the serious stuff to you. Moses said, you're right. He was teachable. He was able to receive that. If you think you know it all, you ain't going to get real far. He was able to receive that correction without feeling like you don't know what you're talking about because you don't believe in God. Because Jethro wasn't a believer. He still received that, though. He also accepted help, which I love, because we don't like that. We like, I can do bad all by myself. I can do it. I don't need help. I don't need anything. If I ain't talking about y'all, I'm talking about me, because I used to have that bad. But he accepted help from Joshua, Aaron, and Hur. So they had a battle. And in that battle, he told Joshua, you go down there and you lead the people on the ground. I'm going to hold up God's staff, not his own, God's staff. And when he got tired, Aaron and Hur was able to hold him up, but also to put the seat up under him so he could sit down. Now, who's to say he told him, I got this. Y'all stay down there. I'm going to be the only one that go up there. He wouldn't have been able to have that help. And they would have not won. Because as long as his hand was up, they were winning. When his hand came down, they was not winning. The people was overtaking them. But then we got our boy David. David is known as a man after God's own heart, right? Even in that, he still wasn't perfect. But he was still dependent upon God. Like I said, all three of these examples, they knew that they were not God. They were able to depend on God and say, nah, I can't do this without you. So if you ain't going, I ain't going. When it came to major battles, David was always inquiring of the Lord. He never assumed that, oh, we won last time, we're going to win again. He was like, nah, what you got to say about this? What's the strategy? He continuously went back to God and asked for divine strategy. He knew it wasn't him. I might be the king, but you are my Lord. Don't nothing happen without you and your hand. He also yielded to wise counsel in Nathan. He might have not did it on the first try every time, because we know Bathsheba, but it's okay. We're not going to hold that against my boy David. And so I want to point to Psalm 51. This is one of your favorites. It shows us a great picture of a leader who failed, but still went back to God. Because I think sometimes when we fail, we be like, oh, I'm sorry, God. I'm going to go put myself in the corner. And he like, no, I want all that. Like, I want all of you. Bring it all to me. When I say I want you to be dependent upon me, I mean really depend on me for everything. It's like we be running away from him as if he's not Jehovah Shalom. You quite literally want to give me peace. You want to comfort me. You are the comforter. And I'm over here talking about, no, I don't deserve it. What does that sound like? That's like your kid telling you, no, I don't deserve it. Yeah. You're like, girl, come here. Right. You know? But we're not going to act like David was perfect. Neither Moses, neither Noah. Because while they may not have known their opposition, we have the blessing of the Bible to know the enemy always came after their victories. It never failed. And he always came after their emotions. You read the Psalms, you're going to find out David was a real crash out. We know Moses killed somebody, so we know he ain't care. And then you had Noah, he was getting drunk. He was lit. Well, Don Julio, I don't know what he liked, but he was lit. I'm just saying. When you think about all three, Noah, Moses, and David, they did not steward their emotions well, and the enemy knew it. They may not have realized it, but the enemy knew, oh, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. When he get mad, I'm going to get him. All I have to do is provoke him to be offended, and I got my foot in the door. And it's the same way for us, but that's another conversation. I just want us to realize that even in your wins, you are still vulnerable, and it's still important that you are dependent upon God in everything. Because if you're not, you're going to find out. And going back to David, I do want to point out something else. So, yes, David failed. He was not perfect. But when we speak about dependence, he knew the difference in his dependence. And he knew his heart posture, like Z was talking about earlier. So at one point, David took a census. And he was like, I want to know who we got out there. Because I want the best people on the front line. What Coach G said? The best ones on the floor. The baddest heifers on the floor, whatever it was. David wanted to take a census. But what he did not realize was that he exposed his heart posture in that moment, because what you're showing me is that you put your trust in man and not your trust in me. So God said, y'all got to pay for that. And he knew. If nobody else knew the problem in that situation, David knew, and he went and he repented. He said, Lord, it's me. It's me. I did it. I'm sorry. Don't let them pay. Let me pay. And God sent the plague. And 3,000 people lost their life because of his dependence. Or his independence, because he wasn't dependent in that moment. And so I speak to that particular situation because I want us to think about how many times have we let our independence get in the way of somebody else's life? Because again, if you have a product or a service, you are influencing other people, whether you realize it or not. A simple video that you post can give somebody else permission to do the same thing, and you know you wasn't in alignment, but now they're out of alignment because they think that they can trust you and your reputation and your mission, right? We have to be real careful with that. That goes back to carrying a call. We have to be responsible with our influence. And so I say all that to say they knew they were vessels. We know they're out, even if they didn't. And my question is to you, where in your business are you operating like the owner instead of the vessel? Where you feel like you in God's seat? Yeah. And if not that one, how are you stewarding your emotions?
So, two things. So I watched this sermon by Pastor Sarah recently, and I can't remember what was the name of the sermon. But one thing she was talking about was Moses, and how in one season God commanded Moses to, strike the rock with the staff. And then in another season he commanded Moses to speak to it. That might not, but anyways. So she was saying how we have to be sensitive enough, to listen to God, what is the instruction that he's giving us right now. The instruction of this season may not be the same as the instructions that he told us last season.
Right.
So we have to be, sensitive enough and be cultivated in that secret place enough to know, okay, God, this is what you told me to do last season. But is that the same thing that you want me to do right now? And the second thing was, you keep talking about heart posture, and I think that's so important because I know that's what God is working on me in this season is my heart posture. And I've been reading Dr. Anita Phillips. I finally opened that book, girl. One of the things that she was saying that I read yesterday was how a lot of times we think it starts with our mind. Renewing our mind starts with our thoughts, and it actually starts in the heart. And yesterday I had to catch myself because I was so frustrated. And I told my husband, I said, I'm just frustrated, but I don't know why. He was like, what's wrong? I'm like, I just told you, I don't know why I'm frustrated. But I had just read a part of the book, and I thought about it. I'm like, okay, what in my heart is going on right now that's making me frustrated? And I don't, what is going on in here? And after the conference, Cultivate conference, when I was packing up my stuff, I pinched my finger, packing up my, toe or whatever. And you know how sometimes the little blood or the clot turned into a heart. I have a picture in my phone. It actually turned into a heart. And God just kept showing me in different ways, I want you to work on your heart this season. You keep trying to work on the outcome. You keep trying to get the thing, but I want you to work on your heart. So I just say that to say, he cares about the heart more than he cares about anything else.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a few slides. I need to hurry up because I know it's 1:15. Let's talk about who's on your team. So, in football, naturally, everybody has a team. Businesses, ideally, we want a team. I think the misconception is that in order to have a team, you got to have people on payroll. That's not true. It's not true. And I'm going to give you a glimpse of my team, but I'm also going to give you a template for what your team should look like. And so, your head coach, obviously, who's the coach? Who's the coach? Right. If he's our CEO, if he's making decisions, if he is the person calling the plays, it's our head coach. Your coaching staff, that should be your mentors, your advisors, people you go to that are wise. Your safety, that's a defensive position on a team. For me personally, that's intercessors. Linebacker, they close any gap on the field, or at least that's what they're trying to do. Special teams, you got your kicker after you score, but then you got the other people. Then you got your offense. That's the people carrying that ball, carrying the mission, carrying the call. So when you think about it, I want you to think who's calling your plays. Be honest with yourself. If it's not God, you got time and space to change it and figure it out. Who's speaking into your formation, into the person that you're becoming? If nobody's right there, you might want to start looking for somebody. Who's covering you? When I say intercessors, I'm talking about prayer, right? But coverage comes in many different places. That if you big and all that, you might have like a financial advisor or something. They covering your finances. I ain't there yet. We in process. Who closes your gaps? That's your linebacker. Who holds your routines and celebration wins? That's your special teams. And who's carrying it out the vision into the end zone? That's your offense. That's going to be you and other people. So I'm going to give you an example of my personal team. This is what my roster looks like. I'm going to give you a note. Some of them are mutual coverings. We have each other back. Others are from a distance. I don't know them personally. Also, another note, because you won't see a lot of offensive players on mine, but outside of me being the quarterback, future hires would be considered like my receivers or people that I serve because they are receiving whatever I'm throwing/giving. And so for me, obviously, God is the coach. I put Lord's coach and CEO for a reason. Lord is a personal reminder that I don't make decisions. I don't have opinions. If I say you my Lord and I say you're my master, I am in alignment with whatever you trying to do. My coach, you telling me what to do. You telling me what plays to run. My CEO, you're making the decisions when it comes to my business. So then we go over to Michelle. That's a Titus 2 woman in my life. She would be considered my coordinator because she shapes my formation. I don't talk to her every day, but I bet you one thing, if a decision is on the table, she gonna be somebody I call and say, what you think about this? Let's pray about this. Reason being is because she's older than me. She's more mature than me. She has seen more life than I have. So she can speak to things that I may not be able to see. She's shaping that formation. She's making sure that I'm not hitting unnecessary blocks, unnecessary foolishness. She's like, girl, I done been there, done that. Don't do that. What he do? Don't talk about if a man coming to play, girl. Michelle, she could be like, when I'm gonna meet him? And then we got Jance, Josh, and Melanie. These are position coaches for me specifically. Jance is a specific mentor when it comes to my boutique. She's a boutique mentor that I have been under for some years now. And she speaks specifically to e-commerce. Josh is my boss at my job. And I may not learn from him directly in terms of like, teach me this in a classroom, but I learn by watching him as a leader. He shows me what to do, what not to do. He shows me how he networks and operates and moves around with people. He shows me how to take the work out of networking because I don't like networking, to be honest. I like y'all, but you know. And then Melanie, she is my social work mentor because she was my social work LCSW supervisor up until 2 weeks ago. And so that's somebody that I know when it comes to social work specifically, mental health specifically, I'm calling her. She has been speaking into that position in my life for the last 3 years. And so that is my wise counsel, very specific, by either example or instruction. So she can show me something, but she can also teach me something. Which brings me to my spiritual formation. JHP is Jackie Hill Perry and JT is Jacquees Terry. These are my film study coaches. Reason being is because I watch how they live. So football players watch film on their opponents, but also on people that they look up to when they're trying to get like, people that they want to break their records and all that. They're watching their film. I'm watching their film. How you live your life, how you teach. Jackie Hill Perry, I ain't never met her. Y'all know, she's not from down here. But JT was my pastor up until last month. So I have proximity to him. I can get to him if I really need to have a conversation. But I also see how Jackie lives her life and the integrity that she has in her plays. And so they both speak to my spiritual formation. YouTube University, that's for anybody and everybody that's trying to learn something. You can learn skills on YouTube. Just because it's online don't mean nothing. Same thing with books and podcasts. That's knowledge building. And so I'm always feeding myself, making sure that I am growing in some type of way. My bottom row is my people. They in here. You see them. Aisha, that's my defense. That's my safety. She makes sure I don't have any blind spots. Reason being is because she is an intercessor. She prays. She's prophetic. She woke me up this morning. She said, hey, God gonna give these people clarity. Erin walked in here and said, girl, I need clarity. What I'm gonna say to that? And so I know for a fact she can see the whole field. God will show her insight and foresight that I may not be able to see because I'm so knee deep into the play. You know what I'm saying? Megan and Sasha, they play both sides of the ball for me. They're gonna play defense, but they also gonna play offense. They are tight ends in the way that they hold me accountable to discipline, routines, but they are special teams in the way that they celebrate me like no other. If I'm scoring, they coming in for that kick or the 2-point, whatever it is. They know how to block and catch. It's a dynamic of being on both sides of the ball, whatever I need, they're there. Then you have me, like I said, the quarterback running the play. Then you got Ree. Ree is my linebacker. Because she's going to follow through like no other. She's going to close gaps. The reason they got balloons and a backdrop out there is because she kept reminding me about it. I wasn't looking for it, to be honest. She was like, so what we doing? What you need? What time we getting there? I'm like, honestly, I didn't think about it until you text me. She going to close a gap. If I say that I want to do something, she's going to make sure that that's executed in some way, shape, or form. Megan low-key like that, too. She may be a tight end, but she a linebacker, too. She came in here and checked me and said, why you not dressed? And I knew she was going to say it before she said it. And she wasn't lying. I wasn't dressed. But I know she got me. I know she's guarding me. I know that that is not her being mean or like bullying me. That's her saying, I'm trying to guard you. Come on now, it's 11 o'clock. It might have been like 10:55, but still. I knew she was going to come and do that because she don't play. But kickers, that's my trusted network too. Because sometimes you need somebody to just fill into something. So if you have a specific need, that will be that. That's your trusted network. You have a template in your workbook. You're going to do your own example. Let's talk about opposition because I know Raven talked about that. These are a few examples, but there are others that you may be experiencing. Because here's the thing. The enemy watching film on you right now. And he been doing it since before you decided that you was going to step into whatever God gave you. So the same way he's studying you, you need to study him. You need to understand what is blocking you. What is your opposition? What's at that line talking trash to you when you're ready to run the play? Is it comparison? Is it analysis paralysis? Is it decision fatigue? Is it fear? Is it insecurity? Is it lack? Is it competing demands? You got too much on your plate. Is it a lack of focus? Is it perfectionism? Is it doubt? We all have our own oppositions. Some of us might have all 4 of these. I can tell you right now, there was a season where I had all of these. Lack of focus, competing demands, perfectionism, and doubt. All at the same time. Talk about a mess. You got to think about what is your opposition. And you'll have time in the workbook to do that. But I just wanted to point out some big ones because I know that we're going to see those. And they're also connected to everything we talked about. So fear, insecurity, lack. We've kind of already discussed a lot of these things. Analysis paralysis, overthinking. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit into a more recent revelation that I've had. So I have been in Exodus for a while, and I was noticing similarities between, I'm going to go to this one first, and then I'm going to go to, well, actually, I might have to come out of that. Oh, no, it's there. All right. Similarities between priests in the Bible, but also the idea, since we're talking about like us as players. And what I realized was that you are both. You are the priest and the player, but you also need to have on the full armor of God as a believer, right? And I'm going to show you how they all connect in a second. But I really just want to kind of give an explanation as to how this became connected for me. So when it comes to priests in the Bible, the role of the priest was never about what they looked like. It was always about their proximity and their position in God's presence. It was them being in the middle of God and the people. When you look at the Old Testament, they had to bring sacrifices to the priests. The priests had to burn the offerings and do the sacrifices for the people, for them to be connected to God and forgive their sins or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it was just an offering. But in the New Testament, because we have Jesus, our high priest, we are also a royal priesthood, 1 Peter tells us. And so understanding that God has called us to be a royal priesthood means that you are also a priest. You're not the high priest because that's Jesus. He came in and he became the priest and the sacrifice. So we know, what scripture is it? We have not a high priest that cannot empathize with our weaknesses. What that is? It's somewhere on here.
We're gonna find it, girl.
Yeah, we're gonna find it because I want to make sure I'm being clear about that. Jesus is the high priest, but that does not take away what Peter talked about of us being.
Hebrews 4:15.
Thank you. It's 4:14 or 15?
15. Yeah.
15. But mind you, I've been knee deep in this for weeks, but we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let us hold fast our confession, for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. He became the high priest because he didn't need to bring no sacrifice. And still, he chose to be the sacrifice for us. And so because of what Jesus did, the veil was torn, and he became our access directly to God. Because before then, they had to bring sacrifices, they had to talk to the priest, they had to do all the things. We don't have to do all that. We can just say, God, look, I done did something. Let's talk about it, you know? And so I want to be clear about that. You are not the high priest. You are a priest, a part of a royal priesthood. And in Exodus, when he appointed the priests, which was the Levites, Aaron and his sons, they had to be washed before they were clothed. But what I noticed was a similarity in the priestly garments that God specifically told them to create in the full armor of God in a football player uniform. And the reason I want to put them in that order is because I need you to know that your identity is first. We talked about affirmation. You have to know who you are before you can even think about an assignment. The priest knew. The only thing that's important for me is my relationship, proximity, and presence with God. Me being in his presence. Me worshiping for him. That was all that mattered for them. And you can go and study it on your own in Exodus. But they knew their position as priests was all about worship. And so the thing about this is like knowing that you are the priest and the player, you understand what comes first. Heart posture, right? The heart posture of a priest is worship. We understand that has to come before you try to run a play. The priests, they knew before I go and do whatever I'm doing, taking the field in this case, they had to first call to be with God. That was it. But for us, we have to understand that we are both. You cannot be an effective player and run your specific assignment without knowing the coach, without worshiping with the coach, right? Because how you gonna call life? How you gonna run plays if you don't even know what he's calling? You have to have that relationship and that proximity to him. As a player, you understand that your consecration will make you a better player. Because when you get with God, you know what he's giving you. He's giving you divine strategy. He's giving you divine downloads. He's giving you innovation. He's giving you vision for where he wants to go. He's showing you the play before you run it. But you got to know that consecration comes first. When we think about football players, they are consecrated. It may not be in a way that believers are, but they be in that locker room. They be to themselves. They're too busy to be out in the world. It's training, it's lifting, it's playing. They are consecrated in that way, but for us, we have to be consecrated to God. We have to be in relationship with him, set apart from anything else. That make sense? All right. So I asked Chat to help me out. because I knew I wasn't crazy. I'm going through the priestly garments, and I'm like, wait a second. This sounds like the armor of God. Oh, wait, this sounds like a football uniform. So when we talk about the priestly garments, it starts with a helmet. On that helmet, it says, holy unto the Lord. It was a turban for them. I'm saying helmet because that's what we're going to call it, but it's actually a turban. The same way the armor of God talks about your salvation. The same way a football uniform talks about your helmet. And what do helmets do? Protect what? Protect your head, right? That's guarding your focus. That's knowing who you're doing it for. We talked about our ways and our motives, right? That's that. Knowing where you at, knowing your position. It protects your mind. It renews what you think. And here's where I think about Romans 12, right? Not being conformed to this world, but being transformed by the renewing of your mind. As long as your mind is being transformed, you got to stand on that. You can't stand on all this other stuff. Protect your mind by knowing who you're for, knowing that you are holy unto the Lord. So then you go to the breastplate. Priestly garments, they had a breastplate with these jewels. It kind of looked like what your boy had on the Avengers. He took them. It looked like the stones, but it's actually jewels. Just read it at Exodus. It gives you the specifics that I can't pronounce. Then you got breastplate of righteousness. For football, it's shoulder pads and the chest plate. And all of these guard the heart, but specifically the priestly garments, it had the names of the tribes, which for them, it helped them to understand who they're doing it for, because they were the priests for the tribes. Let me make sure I'm not missing nothing. Oh, yeah. So they had these two things in the priestly garments that the Bible specifically says was for decisions or for judgment. And so they were guarding their heart, but also understanding that their righteousness was where they were able to make decisions from. That goes back to integrity that we talked about earlier. So then we move on to the belt of truth, which across all three is the girdle, the belt of truth, and the belt. This held everything in place for them. So for the priestly garments, if they didn't have that belt, it would have all not been connected. But for the armor of God, it secures everything that you're standing on because you're standing on truth. As long as you're standing on truth, you know you're in alignment. And with the football players, their girdle holds everything, so it's still that stability. And then we go, I'm going to skip down to the shoes just for the sake of time. So the armor of God, it says the gospel of peace, but for the football uniforms, they're cleats. They are being, like, it's for traction, stability, and in that stability, they know that they good. Like, we're not supposed to put our trust in the chair, but we're going to use the shoes for an example. They know because I got these shoes on, I'm stable. And so the gospel of peace should keep you stable. We talked about this in Bree Bible study on Monday. Being double-minded and divided in your heart, you're not going to be stable. And so it has to be the gospel of peace. That's what you have to stand on, essentially. You have to understand that this is where I am stable. This is where I'm decided. This is what keeps me on the field playing. That makes sense? I can send it to y'all if y'all want to do a little deep dive, because it was a lot. All right, now I want you to ask yourself a few reflecting questions before you get into your workbook. I want you to think about, and I'm going to put this slide back up, so I'm not even going to go through them. I'm going to just put it back up. But in your workbook, there is a game plan for you to finish out this year strong. So from June to August, you may want to assess and build. You might want to see where I'm at, what I need to be doing, and then start building toward that thing. September to October, you should be running whatever that play is, because you need to do it before the end of the year. We're not waiting no more. I'm talking to me, by the way. I ain't picking on y'all. But then when we get to November and December, This is where you should be thinking and making space to hear even more than you would normally. So we talked about consecration. That is a sacred place of consecration, because as you walk into a new year on the Gregorian calendar, everybody's ready to do something new. Everybody's like, oh, I'm back in the gym. I'm not going to eat that food no more. I don't want them cookies. Everybody ready to start. But what you should be thinking about is, number one, reflection of what you've done. But number two, what does God have to say about 2027? Because his plan might be different from yours. So this is a great opportunity for you to rest and listen and see what he has to say. One more thing, one reminder. Your assignment is about being faithful to what God entrusted to you for the people he's sending to you. It's not about winning. I know we're talking about football. We're talking about halftime. Yes, I want you to win the rest of your year. You do that by being obedient. So this isn't for our brand's sake. This isn't for our name's sake. This isn't for how many people listen to us speak, come to the event. This is for us to be obedient in what he's telling us to do. And so as you take time, yes, you got your workbook, but you can also do whatever you need to do. That's why I said co-working. If you know you came here with something that you needed to do for the rest of the year, this is your opportunity to plan. It's 1:42, so you got about an hour and 15. We good? Mm-hmm. All right, let's work. How do we feel? Y'all so quiet. Am I boring?
No, girl.
Am I boring yet? Y'all want me to leave this up or the reflection questions up?
She just talk.
I'm gonna close that door too, just for the sake of noise.
Yeah.